Hi there people, welcome back to your third video of the day on HCMC, because HCMC actually hasn't moved at all today. I mean, yes, we are seeing volatility for sure, but from 9:30 up until now, the share price has moved 0%. Of course, if you do look earlier than 9:30, we were up by a bit actually, but obviously not by much even so, because if we look at this one from Friday at the highs, up until right now, we've barely moved. So the question is, with the stock being so flat over the past few days, is the stock dead? Should you avoid this stock, and all that kind of stuff? Well, I am not a financial advisor, but I'm giving you all of my thoughts and opinions in this video. Do make sure to give it a like if you may enjoy it, because we talk about HCMC every single day. If you're wondering why we talk about HCMC every single day when nothing is really going on with the share price, the reason is because you guys do seem to enjoy the videos, you do seem to enjoy hearing my opinion, and of course the videos that you enjoy seeing are the videos that I will make for you. So thank you for everything so far, a massive thank you for all of the views on this morning's video. You guys have really helped out with that one. But yes, let's jump into this one, looking at how the stock has actually moved today. So if we do start off on the charts, we can see that the share price has been down in the past 5 days. In fact, it's been down for quite a significant amount of time. If we look over to these charts here on Yahoo Finance, we can see that the share price has been falling very significantly most recently. Now that sell-off has kind of ended in the past 2 or 3 days, with the share price being relatively flat. And again, looking at this one from the Friday, or at least from the Thursday, we are up by a very small amount, but it is barely even noticeable, so not much action in the share price. We can see that today we've seen volume of about 3.72 billion, which is a rather large number, and it does show that the share price is still quite active. Now we're going to be talking about how significant or insignificant this volume might be in just a moment, so all of that is coming up. But yes, that is what we are seeing today. The share price not really moving by much, fluctuating between the 0.0014 range and perhaps at highs the 0.0016 range, so we've barely moved at all today. You can see just a bit of fluctuation in share price. Now this comes after a very significant day, as the 22nd, as I have spoken about in earlier video, was a significant number. However, in that video I do need to say that I made a quick mistake, and I do want to just focus on that quickly before we do move on. In that video, I apparently said that I apparently confused HCMC with Philip Morris, saying that Philip Morris were doing what HCMC were doing and vice versa. I do want to apologise for that. Guys, I do make mistakes here and there, so massive sorry for that one. And of course, I just wanted to remind you guys that I am not right 100% of the time, and that is one instance where I made a mistake. So please just bear that in mind if you are going to watch that video, or if you have already seen that video. Obviously, I made a mistake when reading that one, but regardless of which way I read it, even though I made a mistake, you would have thought that a lot more hype would be in HCMC today, because today was the start of perhaps a lengthy process around the legal system regarding this stock. Because what we already know about this stock is them and Philip Morris are basically in cahoots about this potential lawsuit. So if we look over here, we can see that Healthier Choices, have that lawsuit against Philip Morris. Now, to sum up the basics of it, is for a patent. So a patent is something which apparently 14 million users are using already, and apparently 3 billion has been invested in this one. So we're not talking about a small product here, we're talking about a very big product, a very big patent indeed, and I think that is why all eyes are on HCMC. If we do have a look, for example, if they were to win some of that money, look at the market cap right now, you can see it would have a rather significant influence on the company, and it really could be what the company needs to kickstart themselves off the ground and get the company moving in a bit more of a hastily manner. Because right now, in my eyes, the fundamentals of the company are decent. Just decent, nothing really much better than that. They're decent, to be honest. I do like where the company is going, and I can see potential, but obviously they have like 8 vape stores and like 3 or 4 Healthier Choices grocery stores, so it's not a massive company, and that is what we need to remember. So a few things that we might want to know about the company from a fundamental standpoint are the revenue figures. We have looked at these before, and we are just going to quickly skim over them again. So net sales were actually down in 2020. The same can be said for profit. The profit decreased by 0.7 million in the year of 2020, and it ended up to be about 5.8 million compared to 6.5 million in profit in the previous year. So according to their website, they are still making a profit of about 5.8 million. Of course, that is a large amount to me and you, but for a company, it isn't the largest amount, and that is somewhat significant. But again, it looks like they did stay profitable into 2020, and the reason why they are saying that their sales and whatnot were down in 2020 was due to the pandemic. I think that is somewhat understandable with the market sector that they operate in. Healthier Choices obviously have their vape stores, they also have their food stores, and people aren't really shopping out out at the moment. So I can just see their vape stores and their food stores being used a little bit less as things do prevail over the past few months. So I think it is understandable that their revenue was down in 2020. However, things not looking too bad so far. Now going forwards, I think a lot of people have been speculating whether HCMC is or is not a dead stock. I think that is a reasonable thing to ask. Right now we're going to go over to Google Trends and have a quick look at what we have been seeing around HCMC stock and how it has been searched on Google in the past few days, because I think that is somewhat significant. So if we do have a quick look at how this one has been trending on Google charts when it loads, we can see that over the past few days, the demand for searching of this stock has actually been falling. So it has actually been falling by a rather large amount. We had about 100 here on the highs, and that is just a number to basically gauge things off. Right now we are down to about 22, 24, falling all the way now up to 21. So we did hit lows of about 15 here, but now we are up to 21. The general trend though, if we are to draw a line from the highs to the lows, the trend is down in quite a steep fashion. So people aren't really searching for HCMC as much as they were, when this one was a bit more prevalent and people were talking about it a bit more. I think that is understandable to an extent, but I don't necessarily think it is a good thing. And here are the two sides of the story, because people are asking, is HCMC a dead stock? People are asking, is HCMC a stock which isn't yet alive? I think there are two sides to it. I think a lot of people bought into the stock at the highs back here, and I think that is understandable because that is when it caught a lot of people's attention. That makes sense if you think about it, because it was the latest penny stock to start rocketing. Now people thought that at the date of the lawsuit starting on the 26th of last month, I do believe, people thought this one was going to rocket to $1, I have seen as an estimate on that day. Now it has become apparent ever since that stock is not going to hit $1 on that date, and if things do carry on in the way that they are, I don't think that stock is going to hit $1 at all. Now before you leave a dislike on that video, I think that's not a bad thing at all. The stock doesn't need to hit $1 to make a lot of money for a lot of people. Let's face it guys, if the stock was to double, we would obviously still make a lot of money, and that is what we need to remember. But yeah, we're going to move on to that in a minute, but the overall thing which I'm trying to explain right now is that the searches for the stock have been decreasing over the past few weeks and months, and of course that does generally give us a bit of an insight as to what people on Google are looking for when it comes to HCMC stock, so you might want to know that. So the second thing, and the reason why I think this one isn't going to hit $1, is because of the amount of shares about with HCMC. So if we do have a quick look down here, we can see that the public float is over 236 billion. That is a rather large number. The shares outstanding is about 105 billion. This information coming from Market Watch. So we can see that a lot of shares are apparent with HCMC. And what this means is that when we see numbers like 3 billion shares being traded in one day, it is still a significant number, don't get me wrong, it's a large number, but obviously in relation to the amount of shares issued, it's not necessarily the largest. I think that is what people need to remember. So if you think this one's hitting $1, if you think it's going to somewhere like that, let's face it, if it went to $1, if the share price was to go to $1 in the current situation, the market cap of the company would be over 200 billion for sure. And that is why I think it's not going to happen. If you look at some of the larger companies, their market caps aren't even over, a couple hundred billion like HCMC's would be in this theory. So at the current rate, I don't think that's going to happen. I think if they were to do a share buyback or a reverse split, that could definitely happen, and that would need to happen if they were to win the lawsuit, especially with the share buyback, because that would give them the money that they would need to do that. Now, of course, we don't know how much they would win if this was to happen, and we don't know if they actually would do that. It is all just speculation. And I think that is what we need to remember with HCMC stock at the moment. It is all speculation. Now, personally, I do own HCMC. I've spoken about this before. I own over 840,000 shares of this company, and that is quite a large amount. Currently, I am down by about £500, and I know that might sound like a significant amount of money. It is a significant amount of money. It's a large amount to me, and I'm sure it's a large amount to you as well. Now, I knew going into HCMC that this was a risky investment, and I still do believe that. I've spoken about this before, I'm going to speak about it again. I'm holding my HCMC for the next 12 months just to see what happens with this one. If we do have to go through the court system, which is likely, this will take a very, very, very long time to unfold. As I have proved this morning, I am no legal expert, so I'm not even going to try and explain how things work around the legal system, but it is going to take a long time. So I think if you are investing in HCMC, there is a mentality that you need to follow. The first one is do not pour a large amount of money into this one unless you can afford it. Only put in what you are willing to lose and what you can afford to lose. HCMC, as people have been calling it, is kind of like a lottery ticket. If it is to win, it could have a larger impact. If it isn't to win, it could have the same impact. I think that if this one's to lose the lawsuit, or if things weren't to go in their favour, we could see the share price decrease by half. Now that would be a very, very significant loss. I think that is what people need to be ready for, because there is no guarantee that they are going to win, no matter how likely it may look. So do remember that, and that is very, very important. But where HCMC stands right now? Well, volume has been stepping up over the past 2 days. That is good. I'm happy to see that. We could subsequently see the share price rise by a little bit. But overall, until April at least, I can't see too much of a rise in share price. Let's face it, no matter how good the company is, a lot of people who are investing in this company right now are waiting for the outcome of the lawsuit. I think that is okay. I think that's understandable. But subsequently, the majority of hype around the stock is around that specific event. And as long as we remember that, as long as we understand what is going on, we should be fine. I think over the next month it is absolutely possible that people could continue to lose interest in HCMC, and that could send the share price down by a little bit more. So do remember that, just understand the risks associated with it, because this one is not guaranteed to rocket. It absolutely could stay in a similar range, if not decrease, and like I have said, if this one wasn't to win the lawsuit, or if things weren't to go in their favour, I can see the share price halving. So do be aware of that, be aware of the risks associated. I keep saying that one, I know I do, but I just need to state that because I can't reiterate it enough. It's a very, very risky investment. But as far as the stock being dead, I think it's also very hard to say. We are going to have to wait until April to see what happens, because I think it is the 16th of April or the 26th. I could be incorrect. I will have to update you on that one in the future. But at some point in April, mid-April, we are going to be seeing the latest revelation around the lawsuit. So I think if we don't see any interest by then, the share price may be dead, people may be losing interest in that one, but if we do see interest pick up around that date, who knows, the share price could come back to life and we could see the share continue to grow. So now it's time for the big question. Would I buy HCMC stock right now? Honestly, I would probably not buy HCMC right now. And you might be asking why if I already own shares of HCMC. Well, here's the thing, guys. I do think this one does have potential to rocket. I also think it does have potential to decrease in price or sit flat. Until we do see a bit of an increase in price, I would not buy this one. Another point as to why I would not buy this share is because a lot of people aren't patient enough to hold this one out. I think rightly so. Perhaps in the time it could take HCMC to grow, you could perhaps make profits on other stocks and then buy into HCMC a bit later. I've seen people on Reddit, I've seen people in the comment section of this video saying, oh yes, well HCMC might be a fantastic company, but I am waiting for that initial bit of growth before I buy the stock. I think that is absolutely fine. I think if you're buying right now, you must have a high risk tolerance because we just don't know what is going on going forwards around HCMC. But that is what we have seen today. We've seen volume step up, but we haven't seen too much of a move in share price at all. So very, very interesting indeed. Not much action to report on today, surprisingly, as I think a lot of people were anticipating the share price picking itself up by a little bit today. That was not what we saw. But thank you for joining me for this video. I will see you again later probably, or tomorrow, to update you on another video. Thank you for watching this one though. See you then. Goodbye.